It's coffee time. And today's coffee time is going to be a continuation of last coffee time. Yes. Because we're going to be doing a bit more of the Vietnamese. I realised I knocked this camera while I was offline and now it's all wonky. It's fine. We're going to be doing the Vietnamese, but we're going to do a hot one, not a chilled one. So that's what that's going to be doing. And then I'm going to attempt a salted caramel latte. Because why the hell not, eh? Why the hell not? Let me just boil a kettle there. That's what's on the agenda today. I welcome any other suggestions if you would want anything else. But we're going to start the Vietnamese one first because last time it took like way longer than it should have. Way longer. Hey there, just a quick reminder. This is a recording of a stream I did on Twitch. If you like this and want more live content, come join the chat and the great community over on Twitch. I stream every week Monday, Friday and Sundays. Or follow me on my socials for any changes or extra streams. Okay, thanks, and here's the video. Right, as per last time, I have my Vietnamese, which is slightly hazelnutty sort of coffee. It's a very nutty flavour. You get like one scoop, roughly one scoop, not too much. And you put it in this little filter called a fin. It's P-H-I-N for those who want to go and buy one. This is actually a large. You can get a smaller one, which is like slightly shorter for smaller cups. This one does probably about 2/3 of one of these cups, maybe half, depending. But then also, obviously you can top it up with hot water and whatnot. So we're gonna stick that in there, and then we get this little thing and we stick it on top, and we give it a little press, but not too much, so it doesn't compress too much. That's just to hold them all in place so it doesn't get a bit too messy and floofy, and then channely. The water will channel through. If it expands too much, it'll find channels. That's what my experience anyway. And then we just fill it up pretty much to the top, and that will, over about 5 minutes, slowly go down. He says 5 minutes. Last time it took 15, which was annoying. Put that back on there, and the way we finished that one off is we have some sweetened condensed milk, and we put a spoonful in and dissolve it up. And that gives us a lovely nutty sweet coffee. So in 50 minutes are we done? Maybe. I've had one take half an hour before. Might have put a bit too much in that one. But in the meantime, while that's going, while that's over there, we'll have that in the corner there. We're going to be doing some salted caramel. I got some salted caramel syrup. Which I haven't actually tried properly yet. I did have a little taste, but haven't put it in a coffee yet. We're going to do an espresso, you see. Oh, I left my mat in the other room. Hold the phone. Hold your phones. The mat. I don't need it. I just want it. Wow, it's still wet. Who cares? Right. Let's set up for that. Well, first we have to measure out some coffee, don't we? And typically we measure out 20 grams. I am not with it today. Ooh, salted caramel sounds great. It does. Hopefully it'll go well. I've got caramel as well. So the same company, I've got their caramel. So I've got salted caramel and caramel. I assume that's just that, but with salt in. But a correct amount of salt, not what I would put in as just too much salt. Right? But it's almost, and well, I think they've started serving them anyway, but it's almost autumn drinks time, isn't it? In the various coffee houses. And I wonder, ooh, That bean right there is way, way too light. Look at that. Oh, it's still got its... It's got like a... Compare that to the normal colour. So we won't be putting that one in. I also won't be getting this coffee again. It's all right. I might try like a different one, but it's very dark and very inconsistent, as you can see with the roasting. The colours, they range. You can even see it in here. Like that one's way lighter than some of these. So their roasting method doesn't seem to be very good. You need it to be consistent. So yes, we won't be doing that again. Right, let me get the grinder on the go. Just gonna be loud for a minute. Should make another batch of Millionaire's shortbread. Yes, you should. I love some Millionaire's shortbread. Awesome drinks time into the spooky season. It certainly does. And we will be starting some spooky games after next week. So this week coming will be non-spooky games, and then the following, I guess, 4 weeks will be spooky. There will be some spookiness in there. And decorations. I was just thinking, yeah, I want some decorations in there. Spooky games, spooky games. Yes, spooky games indeed. Okay. Let's get that in there. We get a paper filter. Stick it in the bottom. I mean, it smells like a nice coffee, but it's just that inconsistency with the roasting that I'm not liking right now. It tastes all right. It's not my favourite. It's not the worst. They did have other roasts, but they were all darker than this, so I'm not sure if that's why it's inconsistent. All right, give it a good little distribution. Little tap, take that off. Oh God. Ah, yes, you're wet, so you slip. It's a good job I didn't drop anything. It's all right, I had it in my hand, it's fine, it's all good. Literally nothing fell out. Right, I'm just going to put that on the side for a second while we take a little quick update on the Vietnamese coffee. Oh yeah, that's taking a bit longer than usual, which is fine. I've been doing these for like all through the week, past couple of weeks, and they haven't taken this long. How much has come out so far? Oh, hardly any. It's all right. It's all right. We're also going to be doing some frost in some milk, so we'll get onto that in a second. I'm very tired. I'll tell you right now, I'm ill. I've had a headache for a day. I think I've got a cold. So, yes, I'm not 100% with it. Once made a batch with salted caramel too. I do like salted caramel millionaire's shortbread. But I never got to try it because my dad's co-workers ate it all. Oh. Oh. That's rude. How rude. Right, let's get this camera over here. Oh. Let's... Oh, God. The cable's a bit too short. That's my fault. There you go, that'll do. Right, let's Just wait for it to heat up again. She needs a bit of a clean. Okay, and let's go. So this should last for about 20 seconds since I pulled that up. 25 seconds. Ooh, a little fast. It's a little fast. It's very fast. Very fast, that one. That's the other thing I don't like about this coffee is I have to grind it super fine. And I can't seem to get that on my grinder, so not much I can do there. I'm going to leave that there while we do the milk. Get the thermometer out. There we go. Let's clean the wand off. There we are. Right, let's take this camera back over here. So we've got some lovely, lovely foamy milk. Not too foamy. Being a latte, you would have less foam than a cappuccino. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to pour in the salted caramel first and hope I don't put too much in. Just going to put like a little bit in first. And I'm going to swirl that around so it mixes and coats the edges and whatnot. Coffee in. And then the milk. Oh, that's hot. Oh, barely any foam on that one. Oh, that was an interesting one. But there we go. There we are. That is hopefully a salted caramel latte. I'm going to give it a quick mix. Get that salted caramelness all distributed. But there we go. Oh yeah, just the right amount. In fact, I could have a teeny bit more. Now, I can taste the caramel, not quite salt, but it's not overpowering. The problem with these syrups is they can overpower if you put too much in. And then it just tastes blah. Don't kick the camera, Paul, that's a bad thing. There we go. Could do a bit more foam, just a teeny bit, like maybe down to about there. But that's lovely, that is. Oh yes. Right, let's check up on the Vietnamese coffee. So, it's about half done. About half done. It's probably because I gave it a bit too much of a squish. But what we'll do is we'll give that another 5 minutes. That's good. It tastes good too. The coffee was a little bit... The espresso shot came out a bit fast. But because I've got the milk and because I've got the sweetness of the syrup, I barely notice it. And that's kind of how the big chains, Starbucks and the like, get away with having terrible, terrible roasts. Because they just shove everything with milk and sweetness. Milk and sweetness cancels out all. Makes any bad coffee taste good. The proteins in the milk counteract the bitterness of coffee, I believe. I might be wrong about that. This is what I think, this is what I remember. And of course sugar counteracts things like sourness and bitterness anyway, doesn't it? Salt also very good, which is why chocolate works as well in these, and it just all melds together. It's all flavours that work very well together to counteract terrible, terrible coffee. Let me turn it off because I don't want a boiler in my room. Oh, OBS went a bit weird then. Yes, I don't know if my graphics card is having a good time right now. It's definitely having some issues, and it's definitely since I started playing Starfield. I don't know if I taxed it way too much during the stream, but there are moments where it just goes, no, not doing that. Like OBS crashed before I went live. Just went, no, your encoder broke. Ah, interesting, but will the coffee taste salty if I add it? What? Does the coffee taste salty if I add salt? It has a little bit of salt. What do you mean by that? Please explain, Hammy. Well, that's a very suspicious message. Right. How are we doing on that Vietnamese coffee? Oh yes, I'm going to leave the lid on. Lid won't be doing much. Sometimes it creates like a little seal with the moisture, so it lasts a little bit longer, but we'll leave the lid off. I'll let you watch it. You can watch it go down. You just copied my first message. Fair enough. A little bit sus though. How are we doing? Will you get salty coffee if you add salt to counteract the bitterness? Yes, it will have a slight salty flavour, but it won't be overpoweringly salty. It'll be pleasantly complementary. Unless you put too much salt in. That's it. But it's like salt sweet popcorn. The salt and the sweetness work together. So I know it sounds weird, and when that first concept first came about, people were like, "What, salt and sweet? What are you on about?" But it works really well, and they counteract. You know, they do complement each other. That's the word I'm looking for. They complement each other. I put salt in my chocolate milk, yes. And I oversalted that a few times. Yeah, when you know when you've gone too far, because it is too salty. And it kind of hurts your tongue. It's like, oh, that's like, oof, bit too much. Sometimes, you know, you want something really salty and It's kind of nice. Salty crisps, like salt and vinegar crisps. Oh yeah, you want that, but you don't want that with your coffee. But it works well with chocolate as well, because chocolate and coffee have very similar sort of flavor profiles in some areas, which is why they work well together, and it's why the flavors you can flavor chocolate with, you can flavor coffee with. Time is up, but the coffee isn't done. This is taking a lot longer than it should have. It is almost done. I'll give it a little bit of agitation. Might put a bit too much coffee in this time. I've been doing this, like I say, several times over the past 2 weeks, and it hasn't taken this long. Either that or my sense of time and space is completely out the window. It's quite possible. ADHD does that to you. Anyway, how is everyone doing? Has everyone had a good weekend? What have you been up to? Time is a weird soup. It's a weird ball of soupy goodness. It's true. And we are the croutons, or whatever. We are the chunks floating around in the soup. Lots of rugby watching. Who was playing? Who's been playing? Is it the World Cup this time of year? I always forget. I do watch rugby, but I always forget. Obviously, I know when Six Nations is, because it's the same time every year. But I always forget when all the other stuff is on. Your AirPods stopped working for a whole day, so I thought, so you bought new ones. Next day they started working again. Oh my god. I mean, you could return the new one, if they're the same make, return the new ones like, return the old ones in place of the new ones and then just keep the new ones. That's not something you should do. That's, I think, technically against terms of service and policies and whatnot, but who cares? Use capitalism to your own advantage. I only drink smooth soup. Is your soup people-less? No, they've just been blended very well. Coffee. We've got some coffee. Got some coffee right here. You watched Ireland, South Africa. England. I did see England crush Chile. Yes, I did see that in the news. I also want smooth soup. No, see, I want chunky soup, because chunky soup is basically just a stew, and stew is superior. You watched a lot of Game of Thrones again. Just stop before it gets too bad, I guess. That's the only advice I got for you there. I mean, so with Game of Thrones, I didn't watch any of it. Didn't pay attention, didn't care about any of it. I think I watched the first episode, right? When it first aired. Because I was like, oh yeah, it's got the cool guys which I like, and you know, it's got Sean Bean and Mark Addy and whatnot. It's got, you know, people I actually really enjoy to watch, and then a load of people I don't actually know in it. So I watched the first episode and I was like, oh, it's pretty cool, and then never watched it again. And then it was getting to the point where the last season was about to be aired, and everyone was making their predictions of who's going to be on the throne and who's going to die and what's going to happen with the walker. It's just all that happened. I was like, I don't give a shit. And then the last episode aired. Everyone was really pissed off. And then about 2 months later, we watched the whole thing. The whole thing in one go. So the last season didn't really impact me that much. I was like, it's all right. Could have been better. Could have been worse. I don't know why they made so stupid choices on certain bits and rushed certain bits. I mean, I do know, because of the writers, but other than that, it wasn't that bad. Like, the middle bit is definitely the best of it. I did research for uni, and the result is that people who get cold more easily are more likely to bring an extra layer and more likely to cancel plans if it's cold. That's logic. But I'm glad we have a scientific study confirming that. Oh, that's a lot less water than I thought. I'm going to top that up. Let's top that up to there. Okay. Vietnamese coffee. So, oh, I can smell the hazelnut egg right now. Oh, yes. As per last time, you just get a clump, a goop, a spoonful of condensed milk, and you give it a good stir. It takes a while to melt because it's condensed milk. And it will start turning a nice caramelly colour. They often serve these in like small glasses, kind of like the one I'm drinking the latte out of, but like maybe a third of the size. So this amount of coffee is about right. It's like a very short, like it's smaller than a flat white sort of size. But it's intense. They're very intense. Very strong coffee. It's very strong, nutty, and sugar sort of sweetness sort of flavour. And I highly recommend them if you're flagging throughout the day, because it will pick you up with all the sweetness and and whatnot. I'm not going to allow that auto mod message, but I will read it out. I'm not going to allow it because I don't want that phrase to be allowed, but it's different brands. No way they're going to fall for it from different stores. Okay, they're cheap Chinese earpods. Fair enough. Yeah, I'm only blocking up because I don't want future uses of it. The last season was polarizing, it certainly was. You've been following up to the second to last season, gave up, and wanted to rewatch. Yes, we rewatched it all, and it was just it was so much better not having. It's much better not having the gap in between. But then I suppose the impacts of cliffhangers and whatnot are. So back in my day, TV shows had basically a 2 or 3 part story episode that would be at the end of a season and at the start of the next, maybe, to resolve it and whatnot. It could be 2 parts with a cliffhanger in the middle, and it might be 3 parts with a cliffhanger, you know, after the second one, at the season break. And they were awesome. They were awesome. And then they started doing mid-season 2-part cliffhanger episodes. So you'd have like the first 10, 12, 13 episodes, and the last one would be that sort of thing. And then you'd have to wait 6 months for the second half of the season. It was so annoying. And I'm kind of glad they don't do that anymore, but it doesn't... There's none of that like impact anymore, I guess, with the whole streaming stuff. Like, they don't withhold as much. They seem to resolve things basically all the time in the final episode, rather than leaving it at a cliffhanger like that. They kind of like got to a resolution, but there was always like the cliffhangers. Like, oh no, we've done this, and then there's further fallout. Find out next year. It's like, oh, for fuck's sake. And they kind of did it so they didn't get cancelled as well. They had to resolve it. Back in my day. Yeah, back in my day, yeah. Right, Chinese? No, Vietnam. I've read Chinese on the screen. Vietnamese coffee. It kind of was a brand new season, but then seasons these days are only something like 10 to 13 episodes long, not 26 episodes that they used to be back in my day. Back in my day, TV shows, they were hours long, they had 20 odd episodes, cliffhangers after every episode. They had none of this overarching story nonsense. You have a bit of the overarching story at the start of the season, maybe one episode in the middle, and then you have it at the end. And all the others were just filler stuff to fill in the lore around the universe. Most of them had 1-2 seasons. Yeah, we had 10. Some of them went on 4 seasons after they should have finished. And if you didn't have like satellite or whatever, you couldn't even watch them. Half the time you have to wait for like Channel 4 to buy it 5 years later to watch. Yeah. None of these youngsters understand. There's none of this downloading it. Cliffhangers didn't get cancelled, squints at Netflix. I mean, yeah, they still do that sometimes, but it doesn't work, does it? Doesn't work. Although, new Daredevil. So, with the, I mean, this was before the MCU became the MCU, and the Netflix Marvel stuff wasn't technically canon, but is canon, but isn't canon. It's all a bit up in the air. You had Daredevil, Jessica Jones, and all that, and then you had them grouping up together, which left it on a cliffhanger, and there was more Daredevil, and then they just cancelled it because, you know, I'm guessing Disney were like, no, we're taking this back. But then they're bringing Daredevil back, but technically it's a reboot, but it's also a continuation, but it's also a reboot. It's a little bit weird. I don't think anyone actually understands how the story connects with the original series. I don't think it does, but it also continues on from Spider-Man, which is in the MCU, but is also owned by Sony. So it's all a bit weird. With the same guy, yeah. Yeah, what's his face? Oh God. I've met him. I met him at Comic-Con. He's a really nice guy. But that's the reason he was in Spider-Man No Way Home as the lawyer, because they wanted to reboot the Daredevil TV series, or restart it. God, what the hell's his name? He's a great actor. Those Netflix TV shows are fantastic. Well, Charlie Cox. Charlie Cox, of course it is. Really nice guy. Right. Well, that's been coffee time. We made a salted caramel latte, which is very nice, still going down well. We made a Vietnamese coffee, which is going down well. And oh God, is next week? Next week's October, so we have to start injecting pumpkin spice randomness into everything. Unfortunately. It's going to be pumpkin spice everywhere. I'm going to be snorting it. We're going to be baking it into things. It's pumpkin spice all everywhere. You can't move for it. Literally breathing in the spice. It's like Dune. But yes, that's coffee time for this week. Join me next week for more coffee.